All right, folks, welcome in here. We are streaming live here with you. It is 3:30 right on the dot, and we are talking about a line of severe thunderstorms that continue to kind of move across the parts of the area here, and just want to kind of jump in, kind of get you guys a lay of the land of what we're expecting here as we go throughout both tonight, okay, and then tomorrow. A lot of we've been talking about this for a while, and this is kind of round one of what we think is going to be three potential different rounds of storms. Two of them come tonight. The third one comes tomorrow. So this first one is already kind of taking shape, running from near Jacksonville, stretching up there along I-55 to the Lincoln area and up to Bloomington. And we have recently had some severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued as a result of these storms that are kind of moving through. So we're kind of taking a look again. Also, let me know where you guys are watching from here tonight. Love to hear where you guys are tuned in and joining us from across parts of Illinois here as we track thunderstorms moving across the area. And we are, again, keeping a very close eye on what is going to be potentially kind of an active afternoon and evening, and then maybe later tonight as well. So we've had this severe thunderstorm warning down here near Jacksonville. You're seeing that near the Jacksonville area, eastern portions of Morgan County, but also pushing into kind of northwestern portions of Sangamon County, okay? And the storms here are mainly wind producers, but we've got to keep a kind of a close eye on that tornadic potential kind of here this afternoon. Again, let me know if you guys are able to see and hear us okay. I always like to do kind of the double check on the streams before we kind of get going. So if you can hear us loud and clear, let us know. And then again, let us know where you're checking in from here tonight. We're looking at our storm here that is northwest of Springfield, that whole little line there. And we'll just kind of follow it as it goes up here to the Lincoln area. This did have a warning on it just a little bit earlier, but they've actually allowed that to expire. The National Weather Service there in Lincoln, they're going to know best, but they did just issue a new one, and it's going to populate on the screen here. There it is. Okay, there we go. So there's the new one that now encompasses just kind of south of Bloomington, Wapella, obviously Lincoln there, to Latham, basically to account for that entire line. So that whole line is warned now. It stretches from Lincoln down to Broadwell and right there along I-55, Williamsville, and then to the east, okay? So that is a huge, what we call a polygon, huge area, and they kind of warn that thing out in advance whenever, these things can move at a pretty fast pace. And so at last check, the severe thunderstorm warning here with this cell is for this line as it moves to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So what we are able to do is basically kind of draw along the line here and then try to get an idea. And we're going to put it out here and say that it's moving at about 30 miles an hour. And then there's kind of a rough estimate for you of the time of arrival of some of these storms to your location. So Mount Pulaski here in the next 14 minutes, and Leroy, and about a little over 20 minutes or so, Clinton. A little after 4 o'clock down the line, you might get to Farmer City and Gibson City around 4:15, 4:20. So you can see roughly when those storms are going to be moving into the area. Now, the biggest threat so far, these are severe thunderstorm warnings. These are not tornado warnings, but we have to watch and see just, we call them a lot of times the little embedded circulations, sometimes the tail end Charlies. You always kind of look at the southern end of the line there. And then look at this cell. It's kind of out on its own a little bit, being a little bit more discreet. We're going to have to keep a close eye on that one. That's going to be coming just west of New Berlin, and then maybe heading up towards the Farmingdale area, northwestern portions of Sangamon County. So we're watching two areas here. You can see the storm stretching all the way up into Livingston County, warnings up here. And actually, they've got tornado warnings up here south of the Chicagoland area, actually just west of Joliet, a tornado warning is up there. So right now, we think some of the better dynamics for tornadoes maybe are just to our north, but we cannot rule it out, especially if any of these cells stay a little bit more discrete, like this one is showing here on our view. All right, so I'm gonna do some camera views here real quick with you folks. Thanks for joining us here. I'm WCIA3 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy. 3:35, jumping on here just a little bit before our 4 o'clock newscast to kind of tell you guys about what's going on with our storms. And so what we're going to do here is let's fire up our camera that is over towards the Springfield area. And that's going to give us a view of the storms that are beginning to come in here as we fire that up. Here we go. And so there's Springfield. We'll take it back full now for you. And we're looking off there to the west. And so what I want to do, because the storm there of interest might actually be a little bit more to the, well, there's one to the north and there's one to the southwest. So let's pan this around just a little bit more to try to give us some views. And our best view here is obviously when we're looking straight west, but we're on top of a building here, but you're going to start seeing kind of some lines from some other antennas and things. So this is the storm that's up to the north, and I know it's going to be kind of blocked by that tower there. So we're looking at that one. That's up there kind of west of Sherman. But let's peer a little bit more to the southwest and look at our storm that's kind of there, kind of sits behind the Capitol. We're looking at that storm there. And that's going to be one coming into southwestern portions of Sangamon County. So keeping an eye on things. We're going to have our cameras to be able to give us some good views of the storm. So there's the one. Let me just kind of move it a little bit. So that's kind of southwest of Springfield right now. One area of concern that we're watching. And then the one that's coming up here into the Lincoln area, into Logan County, and that whole line that stretches back there to the north of Springfield. So I'm going to pan the camera back around. So again, you can see the clearing, but then straight north. And again, I apologize, some of the tower structures and whatnot that are up there kind of block some of our view, but that's what we've got with those storms that are kind of coming in. So we'll watch the cameras as they come in. We will watch, obviously, the radar as well, which we'll kick back to now. Severe thunderstorm warnings. We've had a history of some of these storms already producing some wind damage up in the Peoria area. I also got a report of some tree damage southwest of Bloomington with these storms as they've kind of come through. So probably up here, Funks Grove, probably seeing some stronger winds. As that line comes in, again, right now, our biggest thing that we think that we've got are winds. Not seeing a circulation per se, but definitely something that we've got to keep a close eye on here as we go throughout the course of this afternoon. Let's see if we can't find out where meteorologist Jacob Dickey is. I think let's see if we've got his icon. I'm not sure if we've got him on here right now or not. Let's see. All right, we're waiting for his little icon to update, so figure out where he's at, but he's traveling out there. I think looks like maybe he was over towards Monticello. All right, I will say this little interesting little feature right here I want to watch. It's kind of over Waynesville right now, west of Wapella. Just want to keep an eye on that guy there. Might have some strong winds. And as that, anytime those things, and actually you can also pick out, there's actually an outflow boundary that's forming off of that. So I'm going to bring up another product that shows this. Take a look at this, folks. This is kind of interesting. So we've got, let me just kind of adjust this here real quick. Get you guys a little bit of a better view. But our storm here that we're definitely keeping an eye on is the one here moving into DeWitt County, around the DeWitt and McLean County line, southwest of Hayworth. And so you've got our storm that's here. But you see this little line right here? That is actually an outflow boundary. So that is rain cooled air that comes kind of rushing out from the storms. And you can see it often sometimes can kind of fire even more storms along it. And look what happened right there. I'm going to show it to you. Look at this right here. I want you to look at the cell right here at Waynesville. That was one frame. And on the next frame, again, look at the outflow boundary. It's almost kind of like a little mini cold front and can enhance the storm activity. And look what happened on the next frame. Boom. Look how much stronger that storm actually became as a result of, kind of that little outflow boundary just kind of enhancing it. So look at that right there. There's Waynesville. You can see some green, a little yellow, not too bad. And then boom, that thing just kind of exploded. So just going to kind of watch that area there as it may start to bring in some of those stronger winds. Be watching out there along US 51 between Hayworth, Wapella, and the Clinton area, and eventually there into 136 Hayworth to Leroy with the storms moving through. So just watching that. And we'll see. I'm not seeing a rotation, but I'm seeing some winds in there. If we just look at the velocity, there's a little pocket there of some stronger winds right there northeast of Waynesville. Radar indicated maybe some 50-mile-an-hour winds. So all of these storms are moving off here to the east and northeast.
Sure. A Champaign man will be headed back to New Mexico after getting arrested for a murder from the 80s. New details on the once cold case next at 6.
So again, we're tracking some severe storms. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 counties under severe thunderstorm warnings at this point. They issued this very large polygon box here that is going to encompass, again, a good chunk of the area where severe weather is going to be possible. Severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect. Let's kind of show you some of those latest. We'll kind of plot all of the different warnings that we have. And so the severe thunderstorm warning there for DeWitt and Logan and McLean and Sangamon County, mainly for 60-mile-an-hour winds. We've not really heard too many reports of hail. And then our warning that's back here into Sangamon County, Morgan, Sangamon County, 60-mile-an-hour winds there. Again, not seeing any of these that may immediately show signs of rotation, but definitely showing signs of damaging winds within the storm. So if you're watching from Wapella to Hayworth, you're going to be continuing to...
They saw a need and pitched into...
All right, sorry, folks. They've got to record promos right now, so hold on a second. Be back with you here in just a second, folks. Back with you, folks. Again, severe thunderstorm warning continues. Hayworth, north of Rapella, Leroy. And our warning that's back down here to Williamsville. So that's going to be moving into southwestern portions of Logan County. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning there is going to go up until 4 o'clock, but there's potential that could get extended a little bit. Again, we're getting these little features that are showing up a little bit more that, have us kind of raise our eyebrows just a little bit because of just the kind of nature, the radar signature itself. There's a few different areas that we're going to kind of keep a close eye on, seeing an enhancement there maybe on our storm that is down near Williamsville, south of Elkhart. And then again, as I mentioned there, between Leroy and Wapella, as that little complex is going to be moving to the north and east. So look out into southeastern portions of McLean County. If you're watching us there in Clinton, obviously we'll keep an eye on this little guy here. Anytime you kind of get that little area that kind of hooks out there a little bit, we always want to watch that. But again, this also is what makes things kind of difficult because these are going over some of the wind farms and wind turbines that are out there. At this point, again, as we look at the storms, the rotation on these is nothing that is standing out, but these are the type of storms where you have the quick little spin-ups that can occur. And again, we're getting into the peak heating of the day. It's the hottest time of the day. Instability is definitely maxed out. There are some, big time, 3,000 CAPE out there. We call it convective available potential energy. And I think maybe even some pockets of 4,000 that might be showing up, which is the area that these storms are actually going through that have really kind of intensified up here into McLean and DeWitt County. They're in a little pocket of really strong instability levels here at this point. So 3:47 p.m., severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. We're looking at our various cameras here. What we'll do is we'll pull up. So right now we'll go back to Springfield, but we will look at our Gibson City camera because that storm is going to start pushing in up there. So look at that view there of the storm looking north of Springfield. You can see kind of the rain foot there, as we call it. So now let's click on the camera in Gibson City and take a look at the view that we're going to get there. So this one, we're going to want to look to the west, and you can see the dark clouds that are starting to approach there from the west. And then that storm that we're kind of looking at south and west of Gibson City. Yeah, let me see here. I'm trying to look at the path that thing's kind of taken. All right, that may actually impact a little bit more. It's kind of going a little bit more to the east there. So that may roll right along 136. Maybe that's a Leroy, Bellflower, maybe even, Fisher there kind of a storm. But we'll be watching that carefully as that storm begins to move in. So we're getting some views of that on our weather camera here in Gibson City. All right, we are gonna see. Let's try to pull back up our radar view here, and then we might try to talk to Jacob here in a second as soon as I get things kind of figured out. So hang tight here. So we've got the radar. All right. I'm going to pull up Jacob here. See if we can't get his shot pulled into our weather system so we can.
Hi, Kevin. Can you hear me? Hey, Kevin. Want to make sure you can hear me just fine as well. I just passed through Weldon, and I'm sneaking back north towards DeWitt and maybe Farmers City. Heard you talking about that little cell popping up. Thought I'd go take a peek here. Was earlier interested in that Springfield storm, but this gives me a chance to kind of watch storms down the line, and I have a good south route here. So you hear me okay, Kevin? Is that everything good there? Kevin, are you able to hear me as well, by chance? Maybe he's still working. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'll give you the view then of what I've got going in front of me. This is looking north then on Route 10 and kind of sneaking north here. That little cell over there. So now we're looking northwest. That's going to be towards Clinton Lake, and that's where that little core is. The one thing I notice is that there's kind of a leading edge of clouds, and so that outflow boundary you talked about really helps limit the tornado threat for now, especially maybe further up here as it kicks out ahead. But number two, the cloud base is also pretty high. And so we call that the LCL. Basically what that means is high-based storms have a long distance between the surface and the base of the storms, and that takes a lot more to make them rotate and cause problems. Doesn't mean you avoid that, but it's easier for storms closer to the ground to rotate and produce tornadoes. And so that's something that I've noticed here. I will say that the wind definitely looks impressive to me, and some of those radar signatures that we've been looking at there. So some clusters here and there. So keeping an eye on things here, Kevin. But we're moving north now. I said I was going north in 10. I'm wrong. I'm going north in 48. Just crossed over 10, and we'll be heading up here to 54 within a few minutes and kind of watch and see how things pan out. That is my report from north of Weldon. Getting close here to the Clinton nuclear power plant as we continue moving that direction. And so we'll watch here, Kevin. Maybe have updates for you during the newscast at 4 o'clock. In the Storm Tracker, I'm Jacob Dickey. Back to you.
All right. We're also getting ready for the newscast here that begins at 4 o'clock. We've got our line of storms here. It's prompted a very large, severe thunderstorm warning box. The question will be, will they continue to carry that off to the east or not? And obviously that would, be next. Piatt, Champaign, Ford, more of Macon County there. We'll see. That line, it's okay. There are some pockets of wind in there. I'm seeing a little bit more wind up there, like I said, near, I think, kind of between Hayworth Downs and Leroy. That seems to be the strongest winds that we've got here at this point. So here's what I will tell everyone that is watching here. Essentially, what we've got are a couple different rounds of storms. We're watching round number one come through right now. And so this one is going to impact kind of maybe the northern 2/3 of our viewing area. So this is what we've got. We've got round one rolling through, mainly a wind damage threat. What's going to happen is this round is going to clear, and we'll see things actually calm down, after 7 o'clock, and there will be kind of a break. And then there will be another round that is set to move through. The really interesting part to the scenario here is, as this line kind of moves in, it lays down those outflow boundaries. And then when that kind of second round comes through later tonight, that's always an interesting little thing to keep an eye on. You get, a low level jet, you've got some outflow boundaries out there, and storms can kind of fire off of that, enhance some of the low level rotation sometimes. And so there's a second round that we are anticipating here. And let me see if you bear with me here for a second, I'll try to pull up that model view that can show what the storms are going to look like, because we've got a few minutes here before the newscast starts. And all right, so here is the model here that basically was kind of, bringing that first line kind of through. But then look at this secondary line, 9 o'clock, that gets going out here to the west and then gets here, 10, 11 o'clock tonight. Still looking pretty intense. So we're going to be definitely keeping a close eye on how that plays out. That rolls through. And then tomorrow, most of the day is hot and dry. And then we get that line again tomorrow evening. So we've got, again, this first one coming through. We're going to have a second one here tonight, maybe closer to 9, 10 o'clock. And then another one tomorrow, maybe 8, 9, 10 o'clock. So a lot to kind of sift through. We're kind of going to take each one of them one by one here as we break them down for you. If you've got plans here, just stay weather aware. Again, right now, it does look like kind of this first little line, and this was always kind of the case, was, all right, so our line here that we're seeing, maybe this kind of skirts the kind of northwestern third of our viewing area. And if we're just kind of looking at radar trends with this, and I'll take it full so you can see this a little bit better, but if you're kind of looking at the trends with this, notice there's not a lot, kind of going on down here, southwest of Springfield. And this line here is going to probably do like one of these numbers where it goes off here to the north and to the east. Okay. And so maybe that clips northwestern Champaign in there into Ford County, but, it'll be close for Champaign, the city itself. But, listen, Tolono, Tuscola, you guys may miss this first little round that goes to the northeast. Okay. We do have to kind of watch these little cells that start to kind of stand alone. We call them discrete cells. There's always have us wanting to look a little bit closer at them, just in case they're trying to do anything a little funky. But again, as of right now, these are all posing a wind damage threat with them. Okay, folks? All right, I got a couple minutes here before our 4 o'clock newscast does begin. We will keep up the stream here. You're going to see the radar just by itself while the newscast is on. I'll kind of try to switch it back over when we are doing our weather within the 4 o'clock newscast. You can also turn on your television and watch us there. We'll kind of bounce back and forth. You can watch on TV, you can watch on your phone, wherever you're watching us from, and we'll kind of do some of that dual coverage here as we kick off our newscast here at 4 o'clock. So again, if you guys, somebody wants to be a moderator out there, as what always happens when we kind of go to just the graphics full or the radar full, a lot of people will go, well, there's no sound, I can't hear, there's no sound. There won't be sound until I actually am doing my weather segment. So feel free in the chat to let people know, yes, there is no sound because we're in the middle of the newscast right now. Okay, so I'm going to put that little box up, and it says it right there in the bottom corner, but not everybody always kind of gets that memo. So we just like to kind of tell people what's going on, and that's what's going to be going on here, folks. All right, we'll be back with you here in just a little bit. In the meantime, enjoy our radar. Back on the live stream with our folks here. Again, back with you here. I'm in a commercial break right now. So, still a pretty good little storm there coming into the Clinton area, Farmer City, Weldon, might come into Whiteheath and Fisher. And it's gonna be a close call into parts of northwestern Champaign County. Again, if you have any reports of any damaged trees down or anything, let us know. We got a report up in Lexington, so that's up here in McLean County, and I'll pull it up. So Lexington, right there, of some trees and power lines down in Lexington.
Okay, thank you.
So again, there is a sliver of Champaign County, so it's basically to Foosland. That actually technically is under that warning. We'll see if they carry that further, Gibson City or to the Fisher area. Let's bring up our weather camera. This should be the Gibson City camera. It's going to pop up on your screen here. And there we go. Starting to see our storm coming in. So looking off there to the west.
What can I do it after the 5:30? Oh yeah, that's right.
I got to tell you, there's some winds. There are some strong winds in there, I think. Although we do have to also remember about some of the wind turbines that are out there, but it does look like some gusty winds there, possibly over there, Ellsworth. Again, folks, with you here. Severe thunderstorm warning continues. All right, back in the newscast. We're back with you here in just a second. Okay, folks, getting ready to go into our main weather segment. We'll be on with you here in just a moment.
There, and you can see how some of those rain curtains showing up there. You kind of look, these storms are very pulsing in nature, so they're just getting a lot of rising motion. There's a lot of instability today, and so that is carrying upwards. What goes up must come down. We get those crashing winds. It actually feels really nice outside. The rain cooled air nipped the humidity back. It brought temperatures down. The good thing about that is also, Kevin, as these winds push out ahead of storms, it keeps the tornado threat at bay. And then the second thing I'll show you here is the storms are actually really high based. There's not a lot of close clouds to the ground there. So that's another thing that just keeps that tornado threat down for now. Of course, that may change. We'll keep you updated out here in the Storm Tracker live near Farmer City. I'm Jacob Dickey. Back to you, Kevin.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it there, Jacob, in the Storm Tracker with us. Let's get you back to the radar view now. And I want to show you. So what we're looking at essentially are the thunderstorms and the reflectivity, the colors that you are accustomed to seeing. What I want to show you is what we call the velocity, because it shows the winds. You're going to see some of these brighter pinks. And where we've got some of these brighter pinks, that's going to be where you're going to have some of the stronger winds. And so maybe they're north of Saybrook and west of Gibson City. You got a few of them maybe from DeWitt, north of Farmer City. What we want to do is take a look at our camera view from Gibson City now, because that storm is just coming in. And here's the view. And you can see there's the heavy rain that's coming in there to town as we speak. You can see the camera bouncing around just a little bit. So definitely starting to storm there. So what we are going to be dealing with here through the rest of tonight is this first round to move through. But there is a second round that we are anticipating. The question is, how strong will those be when they get in here? And just watch the timing of this again. This is going to be more towards, say, 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock tonight. And as that round kicks through, the potential for some severe weather once again could exist. Now, we're still kind of evaluating how this first little round, what it does with the atmosphere, but that rolls through, and then we catch a break during the day tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a hot and humid day, but a secondary round of storms. Look at that little line there that gets going for tomorrow at around 9 p.m. Now, here for tonight, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect until 10 p.m. We'll see if that gets extended or not, or if a new one gets issued for that kind of second round. But that's what we're looking at here for right now. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. So we're keeping an eye on that. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings continuing here into portions of DeWitt County. Into just kind of a sliver there of Piatt County. And if we just come back to the radar, I'll show you one more time kind of the strongest little cell. Might be this guy right here. That's just west of Farmer City, over the Parnell area, Rutledge, heading towards Watkins, and then again, some of those stronger storms maybe from Bellflower to Gibson City. So all of this is continuing to move to the north and east, possibly impacting, I would say, maybe northwestern portions of Champaign County here in the next hour or so. We'll have to watch out for that because I know we've got our folks in the back parking lot. They're in the old diaper drive out there, and it might get a little wet here in a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out.
Alrighty, this is the time of the show where we talk about what's trending. Chicago's Wiener Circle restaurant often makes headlines when celebrities stop by for a visit or when they give away free hot dogs when the Bears win.
Now the North Side staple is in the spotlight once again, this time for extreme BMX stunts over diners. That's BMX star Bryce Tyron doing an ad for an apartment rental site. He started by jumping over customers sitting at the iconic Wiener's Circle picnic tables. Then he graduated to jumping over a car.
Makes you want to go have a hot dog?
Sure. Guys jumping on bikes makes you want to have a hot dog, I guess. I don't know.
Or get an apartment.
Yeah, I don't see the connection, but okay.
Trying to give you a little bit of sunshine during all the weather you're handling.
Yeah, I guess so.
Stay with us. We are recapping one of the most impressive plays coming out of last night's NHL game between Carolina and Vegas.
Okay, back on the stream here. Again, Farmer City. Pretty strong storm now, just kind of coming in to your area there. If you're watching us in Farmer City, let us know what you've got. So let's see here. I'm trying to pull back up Jacob's signal here in just a second.
You're not going outside at all, correct?
As of right now, no.
Okay, well, I took the monitor out because it's going to.
All right, so there's Jacob Schott. He's in Farmer City. There's that storm coming into Farmer City now. Oh, Jacob, tell me again. You kind of cut out there. Oh. Couldn't quite make out exactly where he's at. He's kind of cutting out a little bit, but we'll watch his signal here as he's driving into that storm. It's got some heavy rainfall. Yep. Yeah, I hear you now, Jacob. Man, for some reason it keeps cutting out. All right, you're in the wind, man. It looks like you would have just been in some pretty good wind. No.
All eyes are on the NBA and NHL finals. Check out this impressive play from last night's game between the Carolina Hurricanes and Las Vegas Golden Knights. He sure did. Last night's game was tied up 3-3 most of the time until that very moment. Hurricanes captain scored the tie-breaking goal. Team went on to win 5-4.
All right.
We're catching our breath because there's a whole lot you're keeping your eye on.
Yeah, so Farmer City right now, they've got a pretty good storm. Take a look at this on the radar. You can see it there. We also have Jacob, who is traveling through that storm there in the storm tracker. It looks like some stronger winds there. That may kind of clip up there towards Bellflower, maybe northwestern portions of Champaign County near the Foosland area. Watching that, here's the loop of this over the last hour, and it's going to kind of ride there, maybe eventually towards Fisher. It is moving through Gibson City here as we speak. Again, will the Weather Service continue that warning more into Champaign and Ford County? We'll have to wait and see. That's going to be coming up here real soon on whether or not that is going to be the case. Again, here is the view from Jacob in the storm tracker, who is out there tonight for us watching the storms. This is just the first of what could be 3 rounds over the next couple of days. You can see the heavy rain. You can see the winds. You can see the trees there waving around there with that storm again, northwest, kind of the Farmers City area. All right, so we'll have more coming up in the second half hour. Stay with us.
Figured you didn't want to talk anything about hockey.
No. Okay, back with you here. Live stream, Severe Thunderstorm Warning continues. Again, you just saw Jacob kind of coming through there in Farmers City to Gibson City. Those whole areas there. Here's the thing, folks. Like we noticed the models, they were kind of the whole time saying, yeah, is that going to get into Champaign, or is it just going to kind of clip just to the north and west? I mean, as you look at it there, this may stay just north of Champaign. Close call right now. We are seeing those other little cells back there in southern Logan County, eastern Sangamon County right now. But again, the strongest, part of the line here from Farmer City to Gibson City to Bellflower, things just north of Mahomet now, that new radar scan coming across. So that storm there just barely north of Mansfield. Those of you tuning in here, again, we're watching our line of severe storms stretching from Gibson City down to Bellflower and Farmers City. But Fisher, that storm is going to be coming towards you right along 136. Looks like that cell may pass just north of the Mansfield and Mahomet area. It's close. But you probably are still getting some wind, though. It's known as an outflow boundary. And I'm going to show that to you guys here because you can see it better on my other radar product here. You're going to get a strong gust of wind. See this little line? I'm tracing it here with my cursor. Right now it's low. The rain tool, you're probably next. Thomasboro just came through Mahomet, coming through Whiteheath and Monticello. This is an enhancement of winds that are occurring along this line right here, okay? So what we've got are basically it's the rain-cooled air that comes from the thunderstorms there. And Jacob kind of mentioned it when he was driving through. He goes, oh, it feels a lot better because he was on the other side of that. So that comes ahead of the line of storms. So you can get some kind of gusty winds right along that. See the kind of red colors here? So those can be some gusty winds. And that's probably what some of you are experiencing now in Ludlow, Rantoul, and just came through Whiteheath and Mahomet. So that's ahead of the line of storms. So that might make sense to those of you here that are watching. Okay. So let me know. I'm curious here. I'm going to ask you guys if that is the case. Did you just have kind of that stronger little gust of wind when it's not even storming or raining yet? Because that's probably what just happened. So like Rantoul, Ludlow, Mahomet, not raining there, but the winds probably did pick up. Okay, guys, just monitoring things here. Let's see what the Weather Service is saying. Yeah, it looks like the Peoria area got hit a little bit harder with some of these storms earlier. They've got some trees down. Looks like I actually just got a report of a tree on a power line in Clinton. Power line currently sparking. So as that storm came through Clinton, so I'm just kind of reading through some of the stuff. Ooh, tree. Looks like a tree. Maybe, oh, big tree. Oh, tree on a house in Pekin. Okay, again, that's up in the Peoria area. Also getting reports of some blowing dust that may be occurring up there near Fisher, which makes sense. So peeking up there in Tazewell County, pretty big tree there on top of a house. So that was with the line of storms that came through. So yeah, that gust that you guys are referring to is that outflow boundary that occurs just ahead of the line of storms. I'll show it to you once again. So you've got the reds and the yellows and oranges here. That's your heavy rainfall, okay? So that stuff that's here, Gibson City, Elliott, over Foosland, Osmond, okay? But this, see this little thin line right here? That's the little outflow boundary, kind of gust front, so to speak, and the winds pick right up along that. So it's going through Rantoul now. It's gonna get a little windier, and Thomasboro just came through Mahomet, as you can see. So there it is there. And then stretches down, just went through Whiteheath, it's going through Monticello, Cerro Gordo. You'll probably be next with some of that. So that's what that gust front and that outflow boundary is. Rain, cooled air, and it's all along. They can see the whole line. And so you'll get the winds. All of a sudden it'll be calm, and then the winds pick up. But it won't start storming yet. It won't be raining yet, but you get those winds right there. So that's happening. So Thomasboro, you're probably next with that. It'll come into Bonneville. Eventually Champaign too. But comes from the downdraft here from the storms, and that comes rushing down and out ahead of the line itself. Let's kick you back over. So if you're watching there in Fisher, and again, reports of maybe some blowing dust over there, no surprise, right as that kind of gust front and outflow boundary begins to kick in. So yeah, I don't know. It's looking. It's hard to say if this is gonna kind of get to Champaign now. It did kind of develop a little more to the southwest. So now Mansfield, you're kind of getting that southern edge as that kind of formed a little bit more, and so this may continue to form southwest enough that it does come into Champaign. So we've got our folks in the back parking lot here. I'm going to have to go kind of warn them. You guys might get wet here in a little bit. We'll see. It's going to be a close call here. That may just kind of, if this keeps kind of back building, see how this kind of back builds a little bit to the south and west. So basically, it keeps kind of going this way. It keeps kind of developing. So if we just kind of back up the radar view, you're going to see, it wasn't. You notice there wasn't much there, but look at that little cell that kind of developed into Piatt County, and boom. I mean, we have just a sliver of a severe thunderstorm warning left, the box. So it doesn't look like they're continuing that warning off to the east as of right now. Strongest winds might be coming into Fisher, Foosland area right now. Gibson City, Elliott also probably had some pretty strong winds here recently. Here's our view from Gibson City once again. Why don't we just take a glance and see what she looks like west of Champaign now. All right, we will pan our camera around. Ooh, can't tell if that was some lightning or what. Move our camera. We're going to look a little bit more to the northwest, up towards Mahomet. A little bit of a shelf cloud there. All right, folks. I'm gonna have to go warn the folks out there that they may have to come in for a little bit, get the diapers in, because we are getting obviously some lightning. We'll see. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. But there's the lightning on our storms. So yeah, should be coming down pretty good in Fisher now. Mansfield. Not really doing anything in Mahomet just yet. All right, guys. Kind of the wide view of things. Look at all the tornado warnings out in Missouri and Iowa. Confirmed tornado there coming into the Trenton area. So again, that's out in Missouri and Iowa. So could be worse, right? Yes. So again, the Weather Service did not carry that warning off to the east, so it should be just below severe limits. I don't think they heard a ton of reports about any wind damage yet as that came through. So opting not to carry that into Fisher, Rantoul, Mahomet, and parts of Champaign County. Still, though, strong storm. And then that little gust front out ahead of it. I would say Fisher probably has some of the stronger winds now. I'll be watching out there, say Ludlow. Tune in Rantoul, Paxton, Ludlow areas for those storms as they come through. Little storm there west of Decatur also now starting to show up. Watching that carefully. Hopefully these storms can continue to weaken, but again, we anticipate maybe kind of a secondary round to get going later tonight. Now the question is, will those hold together? That's going to be with, our storms that are, out here. This is the stuff out in Iowa and Missouri, right? So we're going to have this break. So here's the break. So there's nothing here. Then that gets itself together and then might roll in after, say, 9 o'clock tonight. So again, that second round isn't going to come through until after, say, 9 o'clock tonight, according to the latest models. Let me just check. I'm going to check the newest model, see what it's showing. All right. So, yeah, it's still 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight. So I'm going to say 9 to 1 a.m. for our viewing area. Probably more of our core viewing area, 10 to midnight. It's going to be kind of the time frame. So that's roughly So will that line of storms maintain it? So we got the one now, but here's the one coming in there tonight. So 11 o'clock tonight, be keeping an eye on things. So that's what we are watching for, folks. Okay, guys, we'll be coming back with our live weather here in a second. Okay, we'll be back with you here in just a second. We're going to do our live weathercast.